Have you ever stopped to think about the sheer scale of it all? I mean, the complexity involved in keeping an organization like the U.S. Air Force and now the Space Force, too, running day to day, especially, the administrative gears grinding away behind the scenes. It's pretty mind-boggling when you actually picture it. So today, our mission, our deep dive, is to kind of pull back the curtain on a really fascinating government document. It's called a Performance Work Statement, or PWS. And we're zeroing in on one specific PWS, HAF Administrative Support Services, BPA2, HAF meaning Headquarters, Air Force.
Right. And it's important to stress this isn't just, another stack of papers. This PWS, it's basically the blueprint, the detailed high-stakes requirements for outside contractors. They're providing critical support right inside the Pentagon, directly to the Secretary of the Air Force, the whole Headquarters Air Force setup. It really lays out how essential day-to-day stuff at the top gets done.
And what's really interesting, I think, is the type of contract it is, a non-personal services contract, which means basically the government says what needs doing, but they don't supervise the contractor's actual employees day to day.
Exactly. Those folks report to their own company. It gives you this unique window into how vital support can be brought in, but still operate with a degree of independence, right there at the heart of things.
So the objective here, what we want to understand, is how the Air Force gets this high-quality, really experienced support administrative acquisitions, secretariat stuff. It's all about keeping things running smoothly for these, well, absolutely crucial military branches. So get ready. We're diving deep into government contracting, yes, but also into that essential administrative backbone of national defense. Okay, let's start with the big picture then, the scale. This whole thing is about providing services to support the Secretary of the Air Force, specifically Administration and Management, SEFM they call it, Headquarters, Air Force, HAF, and the U.S. Space Force, all within the Pentagon. And the goal is ensuring administrative and management continuity and preparing policies, getting them ready for approval.
Yeah, what's really striking is SAFM's scope. They're not just managing support for the Secretary's office, SAFOS and HF. They also handle it for field operating agencies, FOAs. So it's not one office. It's this sprawling network. It needs constant high-level admin support to function as one unit.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit more then. The document lays out three main service categories, right? Administrative acquisition support, secretariat support, and then general clerical administrative support.
That's right. And they're distinct, sure, but you can see how they need to be interconnected. They weave together this operational fabric that lets the whole thing run.
Let's maybe start with that first one, administrative acquisition support. This sounds like it's way more than just, filing papers or basic office work.
Oh, absolutely.
It's about providing independent support for the executive side of things, specifically related to acquisition, managing and overseeing how the Air Force buys things.
Right. And this support, it's absolutely critical right across the entire acquisition process. It's a real driver.
From the very beginning, like requirements planning.
Yeah, exactly. From requirements planning, requirement package development, right through to producing the reports and data needed. Even developing the business rules underneath it all. It's all aimed at making military procurement, which is incredibly complex, run efficiently from an administrative standpoint. That precision really matters for speed and effectiveness.
Just imagine the level of detail they're involved in. The document mentions contractors helping prepare agendas, planning meetings, getting minutes out, but also, and this is key, helping develop the admin tools themselves.
Like templates, training materials, program governance docs.
Yeah. It's not just using the system, it's helping shape how work gets done, making sure the flow is smooth, consistent. It's foundational stuff.
And a really important point here is the regulatory maze they have to navigate. They're bound by a strict legal framework. Yeah. Things like the EFR Federal Acquisition Regulation, DFARS, the defense supplement to that, and specific Air Force instructions, like DFI 63138. It means every admin action isn't just, helpful. It has to be perfectly compliant, legally sound. It elevates even simple tasks.
Okay, now here's where I thought it got really interesting. This support isn't just in one central office. It reaches into air staff, two-letter organizations like AFA1, personnel and secretariat offices like SAFFM, finance, even units out in the National Capital Region like HQ, AFOSI, the Office of Special Investigations.
Yeah, it shows just how deeply embedded this external support is. It's woven through critical parts of the Air and Space Force structure.
And they're not just taking notes either.
No, not at all. The document says they serve as an administrative advisor
Mm-hmm.
to management, to program managers, contracting officers, offering advice on making processes more efficient, more effective, helping achieve successful acquisition strategies.
So it's a strategic role, really, not just support.
Definitely leans that way.
That requirement package development part also caught my eye. They're preparing all sorts of communication, memos, presentations, even drafting emails, ready to send emails.
Great.
And they sit in on multifunctional teams, MFTs, to help keep the strategy consistent across different, probably complex projects.
And crucially, you see the mix of tools they use. They're tracking requirements using specific military systems, like the Air Force Service Management Tool, SMT, but also standard commercial software, Microsoft Excel, Access, SharePoint.
That's pragmatic, isn't it? Using what works, integrating commercial tools into these very specific, secure military workflows.
Exactly. It shows how they leverage technology to manage these complex admin needs.
And the analytical side seems pretty powerful, too. They produce acquisition reports and acquisition data, analyzing timelines, performance stats, workload balancing, even doing trend analysis and forecasting.
And that analysis isn't just filed away. It feeds directly into government dashboards, briefings. It supports compliance findings, inspections, helps leadership make decisions, manage expectations.
So this admin support directly informs high-level strategy.
It certainly seems to. And finally, they help develop and maintain the business rules to improve what the document calls acquisition tradecraft.
Mm-hmm.
Things like streamlining processes, cutting lead times, boosting on-time award rates, just overall efficiency.
And needing to know the Federal and Air Force Category Management Program points to that structured, strategic approach to buying, right? Getting the best value.
Precisely.
Okay, moving up the chain then to the executive level. Secretariat support. This sounds like a specialized admin support right at the very top for the Air Force's most senior leaders.
That's exactly what it is. You're talking about direct interaction with really high-ranking people, DAF general officers, senior executive service members, industry execs. So it demands more than just admin skill. It needs a deep understanding of military customs, courtesies, the right nuance for sensitive high-level interactions. Trust and discretion are huge here.
And the tasks are super specific. Managing complex calendars for the top brass, planning events down to the last detail, securing rooms, prepping presentations, handling calls, visitors.
And preparing that executive-level correspondence, stuff that needs the director's signature or their designees, which means zero room for error. Everything has to be perfect. Correct format, following all the rules, grammar, typos, all attachments checked.
Because that signature carries weight. Every detail has to be right.
Absolutely. And they're deeply involved with specific military systems, too, like DTS, the Defense Travel System, for handling travel authorizations, vouchers, and ETMS2 Enterprise Task Management Software Solution, which you might remember used to be called TMT, the Task Management Tool.
Right, I remember TMT.
These systems are the backbone for managing tasks and travel across the force. And these contractors are the power users, basically. They even manage the 2-letter workflow mailbox and send out weekly task updates. Shows you how integrated they are day to day.
And in today's world, setting up all the virtual meetings, VTCs, Teams, WebEx, Zoom, making sure those critical conversations happen smoothly and securely for senior leadership.
Yep, that's part of the package now. Essential.
Okay, so below those executive and acquisition roles, you've got the foundation, general clerical and administrative support. This is for the assigned headquarters organizations, the day-to-day nuts and bolts, maybe.
Sort of, yeah. Though some tasks overlap with Secretariat support, like prepping correspondence, planning events, managing minutes. But this role is often the front line for an office, taking incoming calls, documenting messages carefully, greeting Pentagon visitors, escorting them.
Just think about the volume of interactions there must be, and needing that consistent professional face for the office.
Definitely. And they also help out with commanders programs. Could be acting as an equipment custodian, helping with records management or security support. But, and the document makes this really clear, they can't be appointed as the lead for any program.
Ah, okay. So it's truly a support role. Essential hands keeping things running, but clearly defined boundaries.
Exactly. Critical but supportive.
Which brings us to the people doing all this. With such demanding, high-stakes work. Well, who are they? What does it actually take to qualify for these roles? The PWS breaks it down for program managers, admin assistants at different levels, secretariat support.
Yeah, and the requirements can be pretty intense. Take an administrative acquisition specialist, senior level. You need a bachelor's degree, 24 business credits, 4 years of actual acquisition experience. and a specific certification, like FACC, CPCM, CFCM, or a DAU Dahlia Level 2 in contracting.
Wow. Okay, so definitely not entry level. That's a high bar. Requires real specialized knowledge and experience.
No question.
And across a lot of these roles, you see common traits pop up again and again. Things like must be a self-starter, motivated to learn, possess stellar communication skills, and be ready for a fast-paced environment supporting the most senior leaders. Lots of roles also need people who can work independently, sometimes hitting the ground running within like 30 days for senior folks. That really highlights the need for quick effectiveness.
It does. And then there's the performance tracking, the service summary section. It shows how rigorously they monitor performance against these very specific performance thresholds.
It's not just get the work done, it's precision.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking things like 100% qualified personnel assigned, filling key job vacancies within 14 days, 100% accuracy in the contractor manpower reporting application CMRA, 95% of deliverables submitted on time with accurate critical info. Even invoices have to be 95 to 100% timely and accurate.
Wow. That is precise. It's a system built for measurable results.
It really is.
That level of detail, it definitely points to a high-pressure environment, doesn't it?
It certainly suggests that.
And the document also says the contractor has to maintain a stable workforce. Get this, 20% or less employee turnover rate.
Yeah, that's tough.
And no positions shall remain vacant for more than 14 working days. That seems incredibly strict, especially now, wouldn't you say?
It is very stringent. It really forces the contractor to prioritize stable, high-quality staffing, which, makes sense given how critical continuity must be in these roles.
Good point. It highlights how vital that contractor staffing is for the mission.
And it's not just about the tasks. There's a big emphasis on contractor professionalism. They expect folks to have a professional appearance, maintain professional demeanor and conduct at all times, and, crucially, to function effectively and efficiently during extended periods of high pressure and stress, to be an integral member of a team of highly trained professionals.
So it's technical skill plus that human element, resilience, teamwork, both critical in that setting.
Seems that way.
So what are the concrete things they produce? The deliverables, the PWS spells them out. They're formal contract requirements, right? Due dates, formats, everything.
Yep. Things like monthly status reports, problem notification reports if something goes wrong, ad hoc reports when needed, plus various plans, a quality control plan, transition plans for starting and ending the contract. It's not just doing the work, it's proving it's done right, consistently.
And the general information section gives you a feel for the day-to-day reality.
Right. Standard hours are MF, 8 hours. But flexibility is built in, required for customer agencies' needs. Government work doesn't always stop at 5 p.m.
No, definitely not.
And contractors have to follow base guidance for shutdowns, bad weather, ensuring continuity even then.
So how do these contracts actually get rolling, and how do they wrap up? There's a kickoff meeting, that's step one, has to happen within 5 days of the contract award.
With a detailed agenda, yeah. Covering security, communication, everything.
And those transition in and transition out plans you mentioned, they sound like detailed roadmaps to make sure knowledge and people transfer smoothly.
Seamless transitions, that's the goal. What's interesting is they even allow the new contractor to interview employees from the old contractor.
To try and keep experienced people in place. Focus on uninterrupted operations.
Exactly. Continuity is king.
And security, obviously huge at the Pentagon.
Paramount. The PWS gets specific. Facility clearance requirements, up to top secret SCI in some cases. Physical security rules, access control, how to handle ID badges, and a very clear rule. Contractors cannot have weapons, firearms, or ammunition on site. Underscores the controlled environment.
And even how they identify themselves is laid out.
Yes. Contractor identification. They have to wear their Air Force-issued CAC card, the Common Access Card, always. And this is always identify themselves as a contractor in meetings, on the phone, in emails.
To avoid any confusion about who's a government employee and who isn't, maintain those clear lines.
Precisely. It's about clarity of roles and authority in that complex structure.
And the ethical guardrails are there, too.
Oh, yeah. They have to comply with FOIA Freedom of Information Act, CUI-controlled and classified information rules, the Privacy Act, and crucially, it hammers home again. The contractor shall not perform inherently governmental functions. Reinforces that core non-personal services idea.
Right. No conflicts of interest either, like hiring current government employees.
Correct. And it states clearly, the government will not supervise or task contractor employees. It's that hands-off management style, but very hands-on definition of the work and the required outcomes.
So when you pull it all together, what we've looked at today is, well, it's much more than just admin support, isn't it? We sort of peeled back the layers on this high-stakes government contract. It outlines this incredibly detailed, highly regulated, deeply integrated system, and it's all necessary just to keep the Air Force and Space Force running at the top level.
Yeah, we've seen the specific, often very demanding roles, the tough qualifications needed, the really precise performance metrics driving accountability, and those strict security and ethical lines they have to walk. This deep dive, it really paints a picture of the intricate operational machinery behind the military strength you see on the surface.
It truly is a world where administrative efficiency isn't just, about being organized. It directly impacts national security. Every detail matters. A meeting minute, a travel voucher, it's all part of this larger critical system that needs precision.
It really makes you wonder, how does this approach this very defined non-personal services way of handling admin support? How does it actually affect the agility of these huge government organizations? Especially, when things are changing so fast globally. Does this structure help them adapt, or does it maybe reinforce existing ways of doing things?
That's a great question. And maybe for anyone listening who works with or wants to work with the government as a contractor, what does this level of precision and oversight mean for building that partnership? And could new innovative solutions actually come out of such a structured, demanding environment? Definitely something to think about as you go about your day.